All right. Good morning, people. Welcome to Morning Mobility, streaming live from IG at Stephen J. Cornelli and YouTube on the Labs page on YouTube. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to do all standing stuff. We're normally on the ground. I want to switch it up a little bit. And I want to start off with a full spinal car or controlled articular rotation. I think I've talked about these quite a bit. It is the safest way to move your joint in its greatest range of motion. And I encourage you guys to do these for every joint on a daily basis, because if you don't use it, you lose it. All right. So follow along with me. If this is your first time, this is kind of a complex movement. In order to help you out, you can take a pillow, put it between your legs, and squeeze it tight. All right. We're going to go hands across the chest, and we are going to start by flexing our spine or curling it over nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time, starting with our head. So retracting and tucking that chin down, rounding the upper back over, and then rounding the mid back, and then rounding the low back. Try not to push the butt backwards. That would be a hip movement. You should keep rounding until you feel like you're going to fall forward on your face, and I'm about there right now. Then let's slowly rotate to the left. So that means left elbow comes up towards the ceiling. Rotate as far as we can. Remember, don't push into pain. Once we've gone as far to the left as we can, we're going to take our left elbow and drop it down towards our left hip, creating some lateral flexion. So I'm opening up the right side of my body. Try not to shrug. Once I get to full lateral flexion, I will start to extend the spine from the lumbar spine first. Start leaning back, opening up my stomach and rib cage and chest. I'm still laterally flexed. Now I'm fully extended all the way up through the head. And now I'm going to rotate across to the other side, forming an arch or a rainbow with my sternum pointed directly towards the ceiling. Nice and slow. Keep breathing. My right elbow is going to come down towards my right back pocket. Make sure that the hips haven't rotated here. And now I'm going to laterally flex. Down towards that right hip pocket. Round it over. My left elbow is coming towards my right hip pocket now. Rounding the spine as much as I can. Ending back into full flexion forward. Good. Let's reverse. Now that I'm in full flexion forward, I'm going to drive my right elbow up to the ceiling and just start rotation. And then I'm going to drop my right elbow down and back towards that right hip pocket. And then I'm going to start to extend my spine all the way back, sticking my sternum out to the sky, rolling my head back, and then we're going to get into a rainbow across to the other side. Try to resist the urge to bend the knees or push the hips forward. Left elbow comes down to left hip or left back pocket. And then I will start to round the spine,
flexing it one by one till we're fully hunched over, fully rotate it, and then we slowly start to come back to center. And then we will curl our way back up to the top, one vertebrae at a time.
Nice work. I understand that that is a very complex and intense movement for a lot of people. All right. What you should do is start by making the movement smaller. All right. And keep it slow, but it can just look like this. This can be your spinal cord, right? Much smaller than the range of motion I just had. The goal of this is to feel good. All right. And you can really adjust that by the intensity that you're working at. So the distance that you're going into the range of motion and how hard you're squeezing and clenching muscles while you're doing this. All right. But remember, the intention is to feel good. All right. We're going to go into some scapular cars here. So let's start with our middle finger right on the seam of our pants. Now, when we do our scapular cars, we can't have our middle finger come forward to the front or go backwards towards our butt. It's got to stay on the seam of the pants. What the middle finger can do is it can rise up and go down the seam, just can't come forward or backward. So we're here, and also scapular car. So our scapula are our shoulder blades, the two bones on our back. So why don't I spin around as I teach you guys this so you can kind of get a better view. I hope you all can hear me. I will try to speak a little bit louder, even though Kate's asleep. And I will start by shrugging up to the ceiling and then retracting or pinching the shoulder blades back and then pulling them down nice and slow. I should feel my hands gliding down that seam. And then protracting them or spreading them apart. And then shrugging back up. Let's go one more lap in this direction. Retract. Feel them pinching towards the spine and depressing down towards the butt as you keep them retracted. Protract, spread them, and shrug back up to the top. Retract one last time. Let's reverse. Protract. If you can see, I got a little butt squeeze going on, pinching a quarter between the cheeks to make sure that I am not swaying my hips or I'm not excessively arching my low back. Let's pinch those shoulder blades back. Keep them pinched as we shrug up. Try not to excessively arch the low back. Protract forward. Notice my elbows. I'm trying to keep them relatively straight the whole time. They're not bending. That is a very difficult thing to do for a lot of people. Depress. Retract. And elevate. And protract. Good. Rest. Nice job. We can dish that pillow. But putting a pillow in between the legs helps you squeeze and create some tension in this lower half of your body. And that's especially useful when you are just moving the upper half. All right. We don't need quite as much tension for this next one. We're going to do some axial rotations with our arms. So what this looks like is we're going to make our arms go out to the side. All right. And elbows are straight. And we're going to try to rotate just the true shoulder joint, all right? It's very difficult to do. You can start by clenching thumbs in between your fists or just making a fist. And we are going to start by internally rotating the shoulder. So you'll notice that my pinkies start to flip towards the ceiling. and then we'll go backwards into external rotation of the shoulder so that my palms start to flip towards the ceiling. Good. Internal rotation. Pinkies flip towards the ceiling. And external rotation. Palms flip towards the ceiling. Good. Relax for a second. So when we're doing cars, we want to be concerned with not only the moving joint, but the joints adjacent to it, which we don't want to move. We actually want those joints to be stable because the goal of the car is to move one joint in its safest, greatest range of motion and stabilize all the other joints in order to accomplish that goal. So let's look at the joint adjacent to the shoulder joint. That would be the scapula. So when you're doing this, you don't want to shrug that shoulder up, and you don't want to feel your shoulder protract or retract, all right? Try to hold that scapula tight just in one position. My position of choice, which I think is the easiest position, is to pinch them backwards. That being said, once you get good at that, try it from a different position. Second adjacent joint is the elbow, all right? What the elbow can do is it can twist, pronate, and supinate. If you can see it clearly, you'll notice there is no movement of the shoulder joint, but there is indeed movement of the forearm and hand. So even though this looks kind of the same to the untrained eye, I want you guys to notice that I am not moving my shoulder. I am just now moving my elbow or forearm, all right? So let's try these axial rotations again with our newfound focus on the stable joints, so the elbow and the shoulder blade, because if we stabilize those, the only joint left to move is the true shoulder joint. All right, so let's go back to our arms out position. Let's think about pinching those shoulder blades backwards, keeping them stable, and squeezing our tricep muscles to lock out the elbow. And now, let's start internal rotation of the shoulder. Feel that true shoulder joint working. It may help you to close your eyes. Feel free to. And then once you think you've gone far enough, you start to reverse and go into external rotation. So now my palms point towards the ceiling. Reverse back to internal rotation. If you can clearly see that I'm not shrugging my shoulders as I internally rotate like that and keeping them down there. So it can help you to do this in a mirror or to watch yourself in your little video screen. And external rotation. One more time, internal rotation. Feel that true shoulder joint move. And external rotation. And rest. Good. If your shoulders are getting tired during that, that is a good thing. It means that you're using them, but it should also bring insight onto what your shoulders can handle on any given day, right? I think that we should be able to stand with our arms out here for a little bit longer than it takes to do those shoulder cars. So you might want to work on that, all right? So that was our true shoulder car. We did our scapular cars. We did our full spinal car. I just want to finish off with a standing pike. This is one of my favorite static stretches to do. I do this with a lot of my in-person clients, virtual clients. Don't have many in-person nowadays, but when I did. So the way I want you to try this is activate your quads, squeeze your feet together. All right, so we're squeezing our legs together, quads are tight, and all we're going to do is allow gravity to pull us down. All right? And now, you will realize I can clearly not touch my toes from this position. All right? Everyone is quite concerned about that for some reason. That's okay. I mean, I'm actively working on it. I would like to be more mobile in this position. But also notice as I breathe, inhale,
Exhale, I can relax and get a little bit deeper. Inhale, exhale, I can relax and get a little bit deeper. So part of the process of this is static stretching, or just spending time in positions, all right? And this bent over position is a really important position to spend time in so that your body can get used to it. That way, when you need to go pick something up off the ground, or when you need to go get something under your kitchen sink and you bend over, you don't throw out your bat. So the first step is just start this static pike every day. Start off at 30 seconds and start to work your way up to, I like 2 minutes. You can certainly go longer than that. We've been down here for probably about 30 to 45 seconds now. We're going to come back up to the top, but we're going to do it in a slow, controlled manner, controlling our vertebrae and segmenting it one at a time. So I want you to watch. I'm going to start by moving my lowest vertebrae first, keeping my head and upper back rounded, and I will work my way up my spine. Head is staying tucked, chin is the last thing to rise.
And that is your static pike. If you have trouble doing that, I also invite you to put your butt up against the wall to help you balance. If you do it that way, just make sure your feet are about a foot away from the wall. All right. Thank you for joining me today, guys. I hope to see you again next week, Tuesday, Thursday, same platforms, 7 a.m. If you guys have any requests on joints or areas of the body or movement you have trouble with, shoot me a DM, text message, email, whatever you have, and I'll be sure to include that in our next video. Thanks again, guys. Hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Stay safe.